Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. A few days ago, I put out a video that I wish I didn't have to create. That video called out a handful of channels. All the channels named were named because at some point they have worked to discredit me. And the reason I don't appreciate channels working to discredit me is because the majority of these channels take information from my channel and blog, and it seems that their motivation to discredit me is to promote themselves. And I'm not here to compete with anyone. I'm here to bring new knowledge to the conversation, to help people wake up, to, contribute to what's being shared by others. And that's all it's ever been from the beginning. It's never been about money, merchandise, views, none of that. I've never put ads on this channel. I never will. This channel is here for one reason, to help people wake up and see the truth so that we as a people can overcome what is upon us. When I first came to YouTube, one of my favorite channels that I discovered, I didn't really watch YouTube videos until I started making videos. Videos that kept coming up in my feed were Casey's videos at Enterthe5t4rz, and I thought he was a real nice compliment to what I was doing. I saw right away we didn't agree on everything, but I'm not out here trying to agree with anybody on everything. I don't think that's a realistic perspective. I saw Casey as a man trying to help people open their eyes and speaking what he thought was the truth of the world. And everything Casey was saying was fine by me. Casey and I, when I first came along, we didn't really have any beef. We never really had a relationship. Where we crossed paths was when we did a radio show together with the Scariest Movie Ever. The Scariest Movie Ever had me on for a radio interview. During that radio interview, he asked me if I was aware of Casey's channel, which I had just become aware of, and I talked very nicely about Casey. I said, yeah, I think he's a brilliant guy. His research is impressive. I said, someday I'd like to work in a building with people like Casey, having us all put our minds together and doing something really big. And in that radio interview, I talked about, how I thought me and Casey could be a good combination because he had stronger understanding of things such as astrology and some other esoteric knowledge. So anyway, KJ at the Scariest Movie Ever, he said, let's get you guys on a radio show together. And we did the radio show together. On the radio show, our differences were highlighted. Casey brought up his belief in Jesus Christ. I talked about why I wasn't a believer. After that radio show, Casey distanced himself from me. Anytime I would leave a comment in addition to his videos, which I routinely did at the time, I would normally watch his video and then I would share the additional knowledge I knew that connected to what he was talking about. Casey never really responded to my replies. He didn't show much interest in my work. But after the radio interview, he started to leave comments about how if I wasn't a believer in Christ, I shouldn't be hanging around his channel, And I kept trying to say to him, look, man, don't divide over our difference in spirituality. I'm not on the bad guy side if that's what you're trying to do. I'm just another person who lives by the golden rule, who wants to make this world a better place, who sees what's wrong with it. And, he didn't really seem to care. For him, it was you had to be a believer or you're out of the club. And I tried to be persistent. I kept trying to leave replies, showing that I was interested in his work, that I thought we could work together. One day he went off on a tirade on me about how I was a demon trying to take him off his path. And it was this long written response. And after that, I just felt like, okay, I'll stop commenting here. I'll leave this guy alone. Some time went on. I don't know. Somehow I ended up back at his channel. I remember I left a comment. Some time had gone on. Sometimes time's a healer. I thought maybe, he would appreciate my new comment. I can't remember what his video was about. Susan Sarandon or something. So I left some additional information. Wrote this big, long response. All this information. I thought he would like it. Well, he wrote a response. You're not welcome around here. And the next thing I knew, this big, long response with all this information was just deleted. And I thought, my goodness, man. Can't you get over your spiritual difference? Can't you see that we're on the same side? After that, things got more testy between Casey and I. So anyway, I want to read this response that Casey wrote to the video I put out the other day. You know, obviously Casey's not going to be happy with me telling people to stay away from his channel. Here's what he wrote in response. I'm going to respond to what Casey wrote. You know, Casey, if you're watching, if you're really trying to fight the good fight, listen to what I'm saying, please. So let's begin with what he wrote. LOL. Ask Zach if he will fill out a resume of his life, including father, mother, employment history, high school, what cities he lived in, marriages he's been in. Well, I've been really open on my channel. For those who've followed me from the beginning, they probably know most things about my life, because I've talked about all of these things and more. In a little bit, I'll talk about my mother's name, my father's name, and share what I shared in the past, just because it's a little bit enlightening. And I hope that you take this knowledge and apply it to your own life when I share it. So I'll share my parents' names. You know, Casey, I think you can understand that we really shouldn't be sharing who we've all dated and been married to online. There's a lot of people that wouldn't appreciate that. I've never been married to anyone personally because I don't believe in marriage, but I have been in 3 long relationships, lived with 3 girlfriends for an extensive period of time. You could almost say I've been divorced 3 times. But part of the reason I never got married is because I've never intended or thought I would be capable of making the commitment for what marriage is. And that's just being an honest assessment of myself. You know, I don't like to be a heartbreaker. I don't like to commit to things that I don't think I can live up to. Marriage would be one of those things. In my life, I haven't seen a lot of positive marriages. Part of the reason I have the perspective that I do. Cities I've lived in, you know, a lot of people know I'm from Portland, went to high school in Vancouver, live in Seattle now, went to college in Arizona. Those are the only places I've lived. So anyway, then he writes, now watch him squirm because it's easy to throw out the shill word from behind anonymity. Well, Casey, come on, man. I use my birth name as my channel name, which wasn't intended when I was starting the YouTube channel. I found that it was all locked into this one Google account, which already had this, and I just said, oh, whatever, I'll just use my actual name. Why not? I'll just show the world I'm just another guy speaking truth. Anybody could come out here and do this. That's the way I saw it when I first started. Recognize, though, that there's all these YouTube channels who are trying to pretend like I'm somebody named Joshua Greenberg. By Casey writing this, it almost fits in with that narrative that's been created by people who are asserting I'm a shill, which is not true. Way to go, buddy, he writes. Anyone can verify who I am. Casey James Brown, born a poor black kid in Stockton, son of Charlize and Ronaldo Brown. Well, can anyone verify that? I mean, I guess maybe if they wanted to go really do the homework, they could. But I'm going to say that, you know, I don't see why you would lie about where you're from, who your parents are. If this is true, Casey and I have a major parallel. I grew up in a poor black neighborhood. Most of my neighbors were black. The others were Hispanic and Asian. There were no white kids anywhere nearby. As a kid, I really didn't think about race, though. I recognized I was different, but whatever. We were all just people. That's the way I thought as a kid. But Casey and I, it sounds like we come from similar neighborhoods, poor communities, poor parents. If his parents were like mine, they worked 7 hours a day. Whoops, not 7 hours a day. More like 17 hours a day, 7 days a week for almost no pay. I had to grow up on my own largely because my parents left me at home most of the time, expecting me to make food from the time I was in first grade on. That's really how my upbringing was. You know, a lot of poor kids grow up that way. And I don't regret it all. You know, it made me grow up early, helped me become the person I am. I went to Lottie High School and was the first in my family to go to college and better my life. Well, congratulations, Casey. Wasn't much different in my family, but I have an older half-sister. She beat me to it. Take a look at my LinkedIn profile. I raised 2 families and decided to seek the truth. So I guess Casey's been through multiple marriages, multiple families. He knows a thing about, you know, marriage not always working out. And I'm not judging anybody for that. I mean, all sorts of people do this. Most marriages end in divorce these days. I think it's because in this world, We're taught to believe lies, to commit to lies from a young age, from Santa Claus to marriage. That shill label is not sticking too well, is it, Zach? You know, when I started and when I was repping Casey and talking about him in my channel, I'd always get comments that Casey was a shill, and I thought people were just writing that, you know, unfounded. So Casey, just so you know, there are people out here that think you're a shill. That doesn't mean that Casey's a shill, though. There's people who think I'm a shill. I'm not a shill. The shill label gets thrown around a lot. But there really are a lot of deceivers on YouTube. So the shill label, yeah, it's sticking a little bit, Casey. People were saying it long before I was. So then he writes, now ask Zach who exactly he is. Let's hear it, Zach. Who are your parents? We're going to get to it. What high school did you go to? We'll get to it. Where are all the pictures of your life? Well, I've shown some pictures from my childhood. I do have a Facebook page. My mom's in the picture. I don't know. I mean, I could put up more pictures. Is this stuff important? Do you have kids? I do not have any kids, but I did teach. I worked in group homes. I feel like I've been a father to a lot of young children in this world. A lot of children who didn't have a male influence in their life. I do love kids. You know, if we lived in a better world, I'd have kids of my own. I probably would be married. But we don't live in that world. Not yet. Now, everyone who gets to read this before he takes it down, please unsubscribe from this poser who has done nothing but try to undermine my channel since 2013. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't even have a YouTube channel until the end of 2014. And, you know, I haven't been trying to discredit you from the beginning. It's been the end of 2014. It took a while for our feud to build. Our feud builded after, you know, he called me a demon, said I was trying to take him off his path, said I wasn't welcome because I wasn't a Christian. Look for yourself. Look at his comments after his show with KJ, how he repeats over and over how much better of a numerologist he is than me, and openly trying to recruit people from my channel for better numerology. That has not happened. I've never said I'm a better numerologist than anybody. There's a lot of people who have way better numerology knowledge than me in this world. What I'm doing that's different is I'm showing how the powers that be are using numerology and coding history and syncing it up by the numbers. I don't understand the esoteric knowledge probably as well as Casey or some of the other channels out here. And to me, it's because I honestly, I don't care that much about this esoteric knowledge. This isn't my thing. My thing is exposing how this world is bullshit. You know? Casey, I don't think he understands how bullshit the world is, because in his videos, he treats the bullshit news like it's real all the time. I'm trying to help people see through the deliberate propaganda that's meant to divide us along partisan lines, such as religion, politics, race, sexuality. Casey plays into these things, you know? My religion versus your religion. I'm a poor black man. You know, there's a lot of poor people in this country, Casey. And I know there's a disproportionate amount of poor black kids. When I taught, I deliberately taught in the poorest black neighborhood in Seattle, because that's the kind of community I grew up in. That's where my sympathy is. Those are the people I want to help out the most. But making it racial, making it religious, that's what keeps us all divided. I don't ever remember trying to actively recruit people from Casey's channel. I remember trying to share with him my research and get him interested in it, help him take his stuff to the next level. And I do think for a while when Casey was following my channel, sometimes he would comment on a video. I noticed in his videos he started to talk about more numbers than he was previously talking about. Before I came along, he was fixated on 88 and sometimes 33, but he didn't talk about much else. After me, he started talking about 47, 74, some other numbers. Felt like I helped Casey grow a little bit, even though he hates me so much. So then he writes, now look at him, look at how long I let him go on and on before I finally got rid of him from my life. Well, Casey, I mean, what's going on and on? Posting comments, trying to show you that I'm on your side? I don't think you have a realistic perspective of the way all this played out. It's interesting how perspective is, how Casey and I see things so differently. And still his obsession remains. Casey, I'm not obsessed with you. There's just a lot of people who I think need to see through you and what you're really all about. Evidenced here with this video. I didn't even talk about Casey that much in this video. That is not exactly good fruit. Now ask him if he believes in Christ. That should seal the deal for about 90% of you. Much love, you all. Please do not be deceived. If you listen to Casey's videos, in so many of them, he ends his video by warning against me without saying my name. He'll say, there's other channels out here promoting what seems like good information, but they're not with Christ. You want to stay away from those channels. He says this kind of stuff at the end of many of his videos again and again. Casey, don't you see religion dividing this way? It's why we as a people are ruled over the way we are, with propaganda from 9/11 that pits Christian versus Muslim. My message has always been we all need to unite over what's common ground. I've worked hard to be an ally of Casey's. I've also made some mistakes. I've written him some nasty comments as well. But I'm telling you, I did not start this mudslinging with Casey. And with regards to him being a shill, this black Zionist, as well as some of these very other suspicious names, people with one-eye symbolism, they'll come and defend Casey's channel at length on my channel, writing out paragraphs, attacking me. Here's a recent example on this video, the black Zionist. Who's he defending? Dahboo7, Enter the Stars, Professor Doom. Channels that I do not think are here for honest reasons. So Casey, I hope you can forgive me. I'm going to show 20 seconds of your video from yesterday. I'm doing this to ask your audience a question as well as you a question. So here it is. We're going to play the clip just for about 20 seconds. Then I'm going to make my point. And I want you guys to realize that Casey always reps his birthday. I want to know why Casey reps his birthday in almost every video, emphasizing that he's born on the 88th day of the year. The gang really likes this number. To them, it represents poison and program. It also signifies the infinite loop of time. Casey needs to bring this up in every video that he's born on the 88th day. He's been doing this the entire time I've been here, since before I've been here. Casey, what's it all about? That said, let's get to the point I want to make about this video.
And what you're going to notice is that the word prentice spells serpent.
So he's showing a frozen screen from the Manchurian Candidate. Down here is the congressman's name, Raymond Prentice. I can't even read the rest of it. Shaw, I think. Raymond Prentice Shaw. And Casey tells his audience, in the name is the anagram for serpents. But what's wrong with this? The spelling of serpents isn't even right. Serpents is spelled with an E right here. So this isn't even correct information. You know, there's a reason to show this. The powers that be do use anagrams. They are coding subliminals all over the place, from anagrams to numbers coded into words, to colors, to subtle things in the background oftentimes of this information. There's all sorts of subliminals. So it's right to educate about this, but why stretch facts? Why tell your audience that this is the word serpents when it's not even spelled this way? At the same time, you recognize that my research is out here, my work is out here, and my work does complement what you're doing 100%. I know you know that. You have never taken the time to share with your audience what I'm teaching, and you don't even need to credit me. You should recognize by now that my work is very much on point. It very much shows what the powers that be are doing. You are completely capable of presenting this knowledge, and you choose not to. And what I want to ask you and your audience is, does anyone think that this, saying that this is serpents, because Casey's always trying to bring it back to the Bible, and in a way he's right for doing that, because the powers that be are often using the Bible. The Bible was written as a tool of mockery to enslave the masses to a bunch of lies, and they've used it ever since in a mocking fashion because they know it's nothing more than a book of Masonic code, fear-mongering, etc. There's a reason they're so happy to mock this book, because they know what they've done to it. Any of us who know the Bible through English don't know the Bible. The English Bible, all versions, are much different than the original Bible. The original Bible in its native language is said to read exactly the same as the Quran, which makes perfect sense if you follow my channel and I show all that's coded into the Quran, the Bible. The same coding on the spiritual figures, the chapters. So anyway, Casey, why keep doing stuff like this, videos like this that really don't give your audience that much? And it's not even really, you don't put it together the most sound way. Why stretch it here and say this is serpents? I remember when Casey did his video on Zika, it was the last time I checked his channel. He had this scary music playing in the background. He showed the word Zeeks from the zombie movie with Brad Pitt. I forget what it's called. In that movie you find out that Israel finished their wall the day before the outbreak. You ever hear Casey speak against Zionism in this world? Casey doesn't speak out against that, and I don't know why. It shows me that he's not knowledgeable enough about what's going on in this world as well. But anyway, in that movie, he shows the word Zeke, what they call a zombie, and then he shows how it's similar to Zika. And he just plays this scary music and says, "See, it was always foreshadowed, Zeke, Zika." Short video, and I'm just thinking, come on, Casey. Why not show that Zika sums to 47 like the year it was supposedly found in? This important number to the Zionists, the Zionist state of Israel recognized in 47 that they have in the movie. Why not show that knowledge? He could be showing that. This is the kind of knowledge that really empowers people. Zeke, Zika with the scary music, what's that do? Prentice, serpent, spelled incorrectly. This is the reason we get laughed at as truth speakers. Casey recently shared with his channel that he had to move back in with his mother, I guess. And if that's true, I don't have anything against Casey. But look at what half of the trolls write. You're just another conspiracy theorist at home with their mother. Well, I haven't lived with my mother since I was 18, But these are the stereotypes. And here Casey is, making videos like this, saying he's at home with his mother. I almost feel like he's here as a layer of discrediting and to get people to fall into stereotypes and participate in bad, divisive behavior. Telling people that if they don't believe in Christ, to ignore them. Stay away from the people who don't believe in Christ. That's such an ignorant mindset. It's such an arrogant mindset to say that you ultimately know the truth. And it's not that I speak even against Jesus. I've said several times I grew up a Christian. What I learned from Jesus was the golden rule. Jesus even spoke against religion himself, Casey. But it's so obvious. You cannot just believe and subscribe to a religion. That puts you in a group. When you're in a group, you become part of the divide and conquer mechanism that's waged against us. So Casey, can you just see that you don't have to be a Christian to be in the good fight? Where in my channel are you so opposed to what I'm doing that you have to distance yourself from me, say I'm a demon? It's sad. So again, Casey and I, we once did a radio show with the Scariest Movie Ever. This is what he did to me 6 months ago. Just out of the blue, he sends this message. "Hey man, several people have contacted me telling me that you are saying I'm a shill. I do not need a response, blocking you now, and will not even read if you send. But dude, totally disappointed. I have always promoted you and talked good about you, whatever I guess. Enjoy the karma, and hopefully you will realize how to treat a friend someday. Have a life." Now notice what he said. He heard from other people. I never said anything about him. In the time this happened, I noticed in the months before this happened, on his radio show, his weekly show that he does that normally runs 2 hours, He had been saying things often, such as, there's these YouTube channels out here that are trying to get attention by calling everything a hoax in the media, saying these shootings are hoaxes, saying these news stories are hoaxes. Don't take these channels seriously, he was telling his audience. And as he was talking about this, I felt like he was definitely talking about me. There was no one on YouTube doing more of what he was calling out than me. And I want to remind you, Casey's background, or excuse me, not Casey, KJ at the Scariest Movie Ever, his background is military and working in the media. I think his former employer was NBC. It was one of the major news studios. If you've never seen my video about how the mainstream media is a military psyop, I show how all of the major news anchors, when TV was a new thing in this nation, in this world, all of them went to military academies. All your nightly news anchors had military backgrounds. The military has always controlled this nation. This nation is a war nation. It's been at war since its creation. It began with war and genocide. It's always been a military empire, and the people have always been ruled by propaganda that favors the military. KJ, military and media background. And in his videos, he's telling people to trust the media and that not everything is a hoax or a deliberate lie, which is complete bullshit because it is. You can't find anything in your life going back through all the news stories that was ever helpful to you. All you get in this news is divisive propaganda, agenda-based bullshit. How can you see the lies of 9/11 as KJ says he does and then still think that the media is credible? If you understand what was done on the date of September 11th, you know that the media has no credibility, zero. And nothing that comes out of it is to be trusted. And in all of my videos, I show how all of these stories over the years are constructed by the numbers, complete propaganda, complete lies, complete deception, complete agenda. I have a book coming out soon. I'll be sure to send the Scariest Movie a free copy if he wants one, so he can get educated, so he can stop telling his audience that sometimes the media is to be trusted. There's nothing you need on the TV. Everybody would be better off in this world if they didn't have a TV in their house. You might be addicted to your TV, you might like it. Your life's worse off for that addiction. Also, what KJ did to me is he did a radio interview with me before I was on the radio with Casey, and he never put up that show because he said in the background he had Crystal Castles playing, and it made the whole interview copyrighted. Now, when he interviewed me, it was a phone call. I didn't hear any music in the background. He said Crystal Castles is what was playing. That's suspicious because in the video I did with him, I was talking about 33CC33. Then he says he can't put our show up because of Crystal Castles. So no, I don't trust KJ. When he sent this thing out of the blue, and I mean, doesn't this just seem so weak? I mean, who writes something like this? I heard this through the grapevine. I'm not even going to give you a chance to respond. When he did this is at the same time that every channel was coming out of the woodwork to make a YouTube video about me being a shill. All this was going on at the same time. This active movement to discredit me. Why? Because I was putting out too much powerful information, exposing too much. KJ, commercials on his channel. Who knows what else? He has a lot of subscribers. All these channels that have big subscribers, YouTube tolerates it. I know I only have, 17,000 some subscribers right now. I'm telling you guys, if my channel wasn't so heavily filtered, I bet you I would have hit 100,000 subscribers more than a year ago. All of you who say, that's a good amount to have, bullshit, 17,000 subscribers is a good amount to have based on what I've shown the world. I've brought knowledge into this world that's never existed. YouTube is a free subscription. Anybody can access this information. Everyone in the world needs this information I'm putting out. I should have had 1 million subscribers after my first month of being here just based on what I put out. You might think that's arrogant. Show me. Show me where in the history one man has ever done more to bring more light into this world. Light that the Scariest Movie Ever doesn't want to share. That Casey doesn't want to share. Whenever I share it with Casey, he's sure to delete it. What's that about? If Casey's not a shill, he's a representation of what's wrong with religion, you know? Here's the scariest movie ever again. This is him replying to a video put out by Professor Doom attacking me. Professor Doom, scariest movie ever, Enter the Stars. I notice what these guys do. They all attack and then they play coy like they're the victim. What Professor Doom did earlier this year was attacked me for exposing the psychological operations that was the Oregon standoff. That standoff began in Oregon in the middle of nowhere directly after the Alamo Bowl ended. And it was like a continuous media event. Alamo Bowl's over, which Oregon lost in. Then Oregon standoff. And I'm thinking, being from Oregon where this standoff's at, I'm like, how is the local news or the mass media already there? How does CNN already have all this information? A standoff in the middle of the night in the Oregon desert? Well, what I pointed out in that video was all that was coded into the story, and I made a big prediction right off the bat. I said, watch, the standoff's going to last 13 days or 41 days. And the reason I made that prediction is because it was a standoff at a federal building coming after the Alamo Bowl. The Alamo's a standoff in history. They're making a point that it's at a federal building, like the Waco standoff, you know, federal versus this compound. There's all these parallels between these past stories. Oregon lost the Alamo Bowl 41-47 to Texas Christian University. Christian equals 47. They won with 47 points. They wear purple like Poison and Program. Casey, his birthday on the 88th day of the year, which he loves to emphasize. Anyway, they lost with 41 points. The Alamo in history lasted 13 days. 41's the 13th prime. I said, watch, this standoff, it's going to go on for 13 days or 41 days. It ended up going on for 41 days, ending 41 days later. I called out what the PSYOP was from the very beginning, showing why it was done, what the purpose of it is, what the media's angle was, what the government's angle. They're trying to weed out, you know, people who want change in this world. They were trying to suck people into a trap to give them a criminal record, to cause problems in their life, to give them legal complications. Professor Doom puts out a video calling me a lunatic and a bunch of other names, saying only an idiot would think that the Oregon standoff was a psychological operations. So I responded to Professor Doom and I called him out for his silly behavior. And in that video, I made the same type of argument. I said, how can you be here trying to expose truth and you're validating the mainstream media's very deliberate lie? Another deliberate manipulation. You know, divide and conquer. Remember how they made it about race? All this stuff. So anyway, Professor Doom makes a video. He makes a second, a third video all attacking me. You know, putting up straw man arguments, denouncing gematria, saying I'm a kook, my work's bullshit, no one takes me seriously. I noticed that video, Scariest Movie Ever, had replied to it. You know, here's a video made by someone who's definitely a shill. All of you coming here saying you like Professor Doom, you need to check your brain. Professor Doom's content is absolutely garbage. He blabbers on forever, gives his listener nothing. He's just here to waste your time and validate the lies. Such a transparent channel. You know, I don't want to hear you cry to me about how much you like these channels. I'm telling you why I think what I think and why these channels aren't worth your time. You know, if you're on the level of Serpents and Zika with scary noises and Zeeks, you know, you're probably not smart enough to be at my channel, honestly. But anyway, Professor Doom, shill, attacking me, putting up straw man arguments, and then what post do I have here from the Scariest Movie Ever? I had Zachary on a few of my radio shows, and have always promoted him as an interesting channel. I thought we were cool, and then over the last few weeks I've had some of my subs letting me know that he has been throwing me under the bus and calling me a, you guessed it, shill. WTF. I blocked the guy and will no longer promote him, obviously. You know, it's just such a weak thing. I heard through some other people, and honestly, if these people are watching these videos and siding with these people, they're not smart enough to be listened to even if they're not shills. These people are too fucking stupid, end of discussion. You know, you think the media is real, you think these shooting hoaxes that are so fake are real, which KJ and Casey always do. Casey always presents these shootings as they're real. He talks about Sandy Hook like it's a real massacre. Here's Professor Doom down here. I hear you, bro. Cannot figure out his angle of just attacking people the way he has been lately. Thank you, bro. Love what you're doing. Keep up the great work. You can't figure out the angle. You made a video attacking me, you fucking moron. You know? These people are so pathetic. So pathetic. They start the attacks, and then they act like they're the victim. Look at, here's how it always is for me, too. I can't even respond. Comment failed to post. I never got that comment through. And if I did, Professor Doom would have deleted it. The same time that Professor Doom was making these videos attacking me, Dahboo7 reached out to me, sent me an email. He said, here's what you need to do. Professor Doom used your video, report it to YouTube, flag it, they'll delete his channel. He said he'd already done it to Professor Doom twice, so he knew he had 2 strikes, and if I did it, it would be the 3rd strike and his channel would be deleted. And when I wrote back to Dahboo7, as I said, you know, I don't really care for Professor Doom at all, but I'm not here to get people's channels deleted. I'm not here to be stirring up this drama. I said, if you're really interested in helping me, though, I recognize you have a big audience, and I would appreciate if you shared my work. I've never heard you mention my work. I've never heard you talk about gematria. You know what he wrote back to me? He wrote back to me, you're not worthy. Those weren't his words, but that's essentially what he said. You know, I can't give you the recognition. Your work's not credible enough. And I wrote back to him. I said, well, I see that you rep Casey at Enterthe5t4rz, and his work is very similar to mine, but I think any logical person, if they looked at the quality of both of our videos, they would find that my work's a lot more scientific, a lot more consistent, a lot more proven, a lot more supported. So if you can support his work, then I think you can support my work. And his response was, LOL, you are jealous. And I thought, no, I'm not jealous at all. And I just realized in the moment that this guy was a buffoon. And I don't think that him and Professor Doom were really ever having a feud. I think what he was trying to do was get me to report Professor Doom, because then I would have been guilty of the same thing. I had used a clip of Professor Doom's video showing him attacking me and why I was calling him out. So, you know, this guy, a snake in the grass, a guy that has ads on his commercial or his channel, ads, always promoting a scary tone, the fear-mongering tone, you know, Professor Doom, the scariest movie ever. All of these people promote fear. And all of the Christian channels, which Professor Doom's not part of, they all promote the message of all we can do is pray to Jesus and wait for Jesus, which is definitely a message straight from the Masons who want to rule over us with, you know, no opposition. They want people down on their knees, waiting for something that isn't coming. And that's what Casey reinforces. That's what the Scariest Movie reinforces. Dahboo's not so much about that, but he's also promoting the fear angle, you know. So much of this world is based on fear. Religion's based on fear. That's why they scare kids at a young age, believe or else. Same with most things in this nation. Here what we're looking at is Dahboo7's blog, his website. It is the website Underground World News. He routinely does this on his website. The same thing the mainstream media does. He'll emphasize a word. Prince's eerie last Instagram message, just when you thought you were safe. That word he emphasized sums to 33, a number that the Masons and the media often code out with. And Dahboo7 a lot of times will use the number 33 in his presentation. 33 conspiracies. Pay attention. Look at his channel. Look at the words he emphasizes. Apply gematria. Look at his video lengths. He operates the same way the mainstream media does. If Dahboo7 was really trying to elevate his audience, he would give them better content. What's the point of making a video showing this tweet just when you thought you were safe, playing some scary music, and then exiting? At that moment in time, you know, my video was already existing showing how I'd predicted Prince's death in February after Vanity. Dahboo7's trying to be cutting edge, give his audience the best information. Did anybody have better information in the world the day of the death of Prince than I did from what I'd put out? How come all these channels weren't sharing that information? You know, you see how all these flat earth videos and stuff, they get reshared. Where's this information taking people? What's the flat earth going to do for anyone? People just want to make people's heads spin, you know? Scare them just when you thought you were safe with the scary music. There's nothing worthy of this video. What's the point of making this video? Share them some real knowledge that teaches, that educates, that helps people get ahead. You know, I asked Dahboo7 nicely if he could share my work when he was trying to reach out to me to help me, as he said. He wanted to help me take down another channel, but he didn't want to help me promote the truth. So those of you coming to me saying you like Dahboo7, to me this guy's a clown, a goofball, immature, pathetic. And I've never seen a video of his that's helpful, you know? Just giving people constant noise. Noise. If information's not helpful to you, it's just noise. It just clutters your mind. Here's his website right now, DEFCON 3, Condition Yellow. Takes me back to the days of September 11th and the color scale and the fear-mongering. You can't see that this guy's controlled opposition, talking in his fake gravelly voice like Alex Jones? It's pathetic. This guy's the Alex Jones wannabe. A mini fraud. So anyway, to do some teaching, Casey, he asked me all these questions. What's your parents' name? Like I said, I've put all this stuff out in other videos. Show you something about me. Here's my full name. I use my real name. My name is Zachary Keefe Hubbard, spelled just like that since birth. I always ask my parents why they named me what they named me because I never liked my name when I was a kid. It just seems so funny to me. My dad's birth name is Timothy Stephen Hubbard. Him and I, like father, like son in gematria. My mother's name, I don't even know how to spell her middle name. Her name doesn't sum to 89 though. Her birthday, however, is September 8th, a date that can be written 8/9. And the date I was born can be found by typing this in. What's the coldest day ever recorded? The answer will come up. It's July 21st, 1983. The record cold temperature was negative 89 Celsius. And do you know who was born on this day? I was born on this day. Born July 21st, 1983. I was really born at 7:11 p.m., 1911 military time. Seems like I was born by the numbers, you know? And since finding out this information, I've noticed a lot of other things that are really interesting. You know, there's a lot of synchronicity in my life by the numbers. And I think if you apply this knowledge to yourself, you'll find that these same patterns exist with you, your parents, your loved ones, your friends. It seems that there is some sort of organic layer to the number coding. A lot of people have taken to gematrix.org and made this discovery, which I'll go over right now. I never use the list in the Gematrix database to connect phrases and say, oh, this means this. I think this has been done deliberately on this website just to make me look bad. Supposedly my name's been searched for this many times, almost 6,000 times. Look at what's at the top of the list. Judas Iscariot, Skull and Bones, End of the World, you know, negative things. And a video has been made saying that this is proof that I'm the reincarnation of Judas Iscariot, which is just ridiculous. That's the character in the Bible who sold out Jesus, right? But you can't use gematria this way to discredit people. Look at this. If you go down the list, there's other things here too, you know? You could pick out some of these nice words. I want to show you one that's something interesting to think about for you Christians. And listen, don't go apeshit crazy when I show this to you. The phrase Christ reborn also equals 149. I'm not saying that I am Christ reborn, but I do want to show you something interesting that makes me think maybe there's an element in this world that the way these numbers truly do impact us. You know, there's all this research on astrology and birth numerology and what it means for your future life. I think that there's a lot of truth in that. I can't fully explain why it is. You know, I'm continuously trying to understand this world better. But notice this, with regards to Christ being reborn, Christ's mother is the Virgin Mary, right? The Virgin Mary is born in history on September 8th, supposedly. That also happens to be my mother's birthday. And what's really interesting is when I was 30 years old, my girlfriend, who is she used to be a Christian, she's distancing herself. And I've never told my girlfriend what to believe. You know, I've always been respectful of her beliefs. Anyway, when I was 30 years old, she put a King James Bible in my hand. And when she put it in my hands, I didn't know about gematria. I didn't know about numerology. But I started to read the King James Bible. And the way I read the Bible for the first time and since forever, since I was a kid, when I was growing up a Christian, the way I read it was I read the opening chapter, Genesis, start to finish. And then I jumped to the end and I read Revelation start to finish. And I started going through the other chapters, reading more and more. I've never read the entire Bible. But anyway, that happened at age 30. 30, my girlfriend put this book in my hands. They say the ministry of Jesus lasted from the time he was 30 until the time he was 33. It began in the Sea of Galilee. Galilee equals 33. The circumference of that body of water is 33 kilometers. Jesus crucified at 33. Anyhow, what it starts to make me think is there a reason the story of Jesus begins at 30 and ends at 33? Perhaps there's something in this world to these numbers and the reason things happen in our lives at certain ages, you know? Becoming aware of all of this, looking at myself, you know? I say, what's going on? This seems to be way beyond coincidence. All of these things aligning this way. Revelation itself has gematria of 49. The date I'm born, July 21st, 1983, that's a date with a life lesson number of 49 like Revelation. When I was reading Revelation, my girlfriend asked me what was wrong because my eyes started to tear up. I was reading it on the couch next to her. She noticed I had tears running down my face. She said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I just read this Bible verse and it's just got me all choked up." And the reason it choked me up is it's because it's Revelation 21:7. And it just says, "He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son." And, you know, you could interpret that a lot of different ways. My birthday is July 21st, a date that's written 21/7. And I used to be an elementary school teacher. I used to teach kids routinely about the importance of perseverance. Persevere has always been an important word in my life. It's something I've done from a young age. I've always persevered. And, you know, my whole life, I've been a unique person. I've been an outspoken person. I've always tried to stand up for what's right. I learned from a young age, by having these qualities, you can make enemies in this world. A lot of people can demonize you, hate you, you know, conspire against you. And being who I have been, you know, it hasn't been the easiest path. There hasn't been any reward in my life for doing the right things. You know, my family, for the most part, they wish I was doing anything but what I'm doing. My girlfriend, she's not even really supportive of what I'm doing. But I keep doing it because I know it's the right thing. And for all of you Christians who speak against me, know this about me as a child. When I was growing up, you know, I was a Christian. I believed as a child. And I prayed long and hard every night. And when I prayed, I never prayed for myself. I always prayed for others, for all the people suffering, to make the world better. And the only thing I ever asked from God was to help me do something to make this world better. And I said the same prayer every night for all of my childhood. Even when I stopped becoming a Christian, you know, I've never stopped believing. The only thing I really believe in is that there is a God in this world. There's a force. And the reason I've never lost that belief is because I've always seen the signs around me that can only be explained through what I would say is a greater power, a higher presence. And, I don't have it all figured out spiritually, religiously, and I don't expect anyone else to. So when it comes to religion, spirituality, I think everyone needs to learn to be open-minded and accepting. The only people you should try to cast out of your circle are people who are trying to do harm to you. And, Casey, who was trying to push me away just because we had different beliefs, I wasn't demonizing his beliefs at first, but eventually I said, you know what, Casey? You're the reason that religion is the plague of this world. You're hating on me just because we have different beliefs. You're dividing needlessly. So anyway, I just share these things about me because I think they're relevant and I think they're worth thinking about. What was Jesus's motto? What was his thing? The golden rule? Denouncing religion? Getting people to overcome the tyrants? Speaking out against the evils of money? These are the same qualities of me. And of course, I get these qualities from being raised a Christian, learning about these things, and embodying them. How many Christians do you see that really go along with these things? Most Christians I know, they seem to use the religion so that they can be bad, so that they can say, see, we were born sinners, and, it's okay for me to make this mistake or do this wrong thing because I believe in Jesus and I'll be forgiven. I see most people using Christianity in a harmful way. I don't really care what your religious belief is. We all need to work together. We all need to overcome our differences. But when you start speaking against me because I don't believe like you, that's when I'll talk back. That's when I'll let you know we got a problem. What else do we got up here? So, RFG Chosen One. I mentioned him in the last video. All I said about him was I didn't appreciate that earlier this year he took my work and credited it to a shield channel, Polarization Nation, who was also taking my work and making videos to discredit me. I said, come on, man, if you're going to use my work and it's so obvious you are, at least credit the right person. Or if you're not going to give credit, don't give credit to the shield channel that's also making videos attacking me. So anyway, I just let him know I didn't appreciate that. And I didn't speak against him or what he's about or his beliefs or his message. I really saw this person as a young, intelligent man trying to do the right thing. And I see him saying a lot of things that I don't agree with, that I don't think are correct. But again, I don't expect to be, in complete agreement with anyone. And I don't see how anyone can go in this world having that expectation from anyone else. We're all different people. We all have different backgrounds, different perspectives. We're not going to align on everything. So anyway, he makes this video. A lot of people have asked me to respond to this. If you haven't seen the video, he says I'm a homosexual. He says gematria is bullshit. And he says, what have I accomplished? Asking me, what have I done? He says, here I am trying to get out people the truth so that they know to leave America before the FEMA camps come. RFG, I forgive you for everything you said. I'm 10 years older than you. I don't think you came at me with the most mature response. I don't think it was necessary. But you're still young. And you got 10 years to get to where I am. I wasn't as mature as I am now 10 years ago. I don't want to see a kid like this, destroy everything he's been working for. And the way he's attacking me, he's losing a lot of subscribers. He's losing a lot of credibility. He's come to my blog. He's writing all this nasty stuff, and he's getting all these people mad at him. And I keep responding to him nicely, saying, look, man, I don't know if you're having a bad day or what, but you're not going about this the right way. You're going to make yourself look bad. So RFG, man, what is it? Are you out here trying to promote the truth, or are you trying to sell t-shirts? I noticed RFG, he has these t-shirts for sale with his initials on them, and the logo is a lot like the Masonic compass and square. If you are affiliated with Freemasonry and you are here for deception, if you are here for divide and conquer, then we're not friends. We're not allies. But if this is just a coincidence here with the symbol, and you really are just a kid out here trying to make a better world, getting people to wake up, then I'm not going to speak against you. But what I will say is all this fear-mongering, all this FEMA camp, all this get out of America before the destruction, that's not what's going to get us anywhere. There really is an agenda in place. Someday we'll come to the cliff. Someday it'll be a lot worse than what it is right now. That's why I speak out. But that day's further away than you're making it sound. FEMA camps aren't imminent. I was telling people this last summer when everybody was tripping on whatever that drill was called, Jade Helm. The powers that be want us afraid. When we're afraid, we're more easily controlled. The only way we're going to overcome the powers that be is not by escaping this nation, because their network is worldwide. There's not many places you can go in the world to get away from them. The only way we're going to overcome them is by working together, spreading the knowledge, finding out what is definitive truth, and using that to take them down. If you want to say my work is bullshit, that is your mistake. My work is certainly not bullshit. My work has shown more light on what is going on in this world than any research done by anyone else before me, now, maybe not in the future. There's still somebody who can take it to the next level. But to come here and say my work's bullshit, that shows that you are not intelligent enough to grasp what is real in this world. I see you on your channel, you're talking about aliens, you're talking about all this stuff, man. You're giving your audience a ton of information. How much of that information can actually help them improve their scenario? The skill I teach can help everyone improve their scenario. Look at all the comments on my channel, people who are grateful for the work I do, who apply it, who see the light, who learn something about this world themselves. You used to follow my channel and subscribe as well too. I think you know the truth. Just because you're angry doesn't mean, you need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So for everyone, who unsubscribed to RFG because he was talking me down, you don't need to unsubscribe. He made a mistake. Hopefully he learns from it. RFG, if you're going to call somebody out, you got to come with the facts, not, baseless claims such as they're a homosexual. And if you're going to say gematria is bullshit, you got to show how it's bullshit, And Russian vids, some of you are asking me, why I speak against Russian vids. I don't know how you can ask me that in the video where I showed the videos Russian vids has made about me. Making all these videos saying I'm a Satanist, a shill. He's put out like 6 videos on me. The first video he ever made was called Questions for Zachary K. Hubbard. And a lot of people sent it to me right away. They said, hey, check this out. So I watched the video. I think it was like a half hour long. I responded to all of the questions. I wrote out this really long response. I thought he was being sincere in making this video. I wrote out this really long response. You know what he did? He deleted it. Questions for Zachary K. Hubbard. I spent like a half hour writing. I wrote a novel on his video responding to everything he said, because he said a lot. He deletes it. And I thought, shit, I didn't copy it. So I rewrote it again. This time I copied and pasted it, posted it. Sure enough, he deleted it again. So I had it copied and pasted. I just pasted it. He kept deleting it. So I gave up. People kept linking me the video. Hey, Zach, have you seen this video made about you? And I was like, yeah, I have seen it. I actually replied to it, but yeah, I don't have a reply there anymore. So anyway, I went back there. I was going to reply again. I was going to try. And I saw that somebody left this comment. The problem is that Zachary will never answer of. And I think he was referring to the questions asked of me. So I noticed that Russian Vids had responded. And he writes, no follow-up for sure. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I've already responded to this like 5 times and he's deleted it every time. And now look at him. No follow-up for sure. This is complete dishonesty. And this is a person claiming to be Christian, claiming to be about Jesus. You know, he made a video saying I'm a money-grubbing shill. I've never asked anybody for any money. A lot of people tried to help me after my house was burglarized. After I exposed the shooting hoax in my own backyard, my house was burglarized. I was arrested shortly after, put on probation. Arrested in my own front yard, weeding my lawn by the police. You can go back and watch the videos how all that transpired. But anyway, you know, Russian Vids at the time was taking my gematria knowledge, presenting it as his discoveries, giving me no credit. I didn't really care. At the time, I just thought, well, at least somebody else is sharing the knowledge. But then this kind of stuff, you know, attacking me, labeling me with all these negative things, and then just stuff like this, deleting the comments and then acting like I wouldn't respond. It's just so pathetic. So if you're following these channels, you're following people who are, what I would say, are pathetic, you know? They attack, they discredit, and then they play the victim like a small child. You know, there's just no reason for any of this to even be happening. I shouldn't be having to make this video. I shouldn't have to be responding to these people. I shouldn't have to be calling out these people. You guys need to understand, we live in a world of deception, dishonesty. So many people abide by the lie code. So many people don't follow the golden rule. And YouTube is full of them. I haven't been perfect in the way I've dealt with people. You know, I haven't always been nice to Casey in the time that we've had our beef. But I'm telling you, I didn't start the mudslinging with anyone. When I first came here, I was always positive. I ignored all the haters. You know, I wasn't rude to any of my trolls. But in the time I've been here, I've had a lot of things that have messed up my life, you know. I lost a lot when my home was burglarized. I'm someone that doesn't trust the banks, who doesn't use the banks, who didn't for a decade. Well, it caught up with me when my house was burglarized. I lost everything. Not only that, where I'm sitting now in my garage, there used to be something else in here. I live in Washington State. I'd invested a lot of money and built something very nice to produce a product that was profitable at the time. That was all sabotaged, destroyed, everything was stolen from. The people who did my house, they really cleaned me out. So anyway, I'm not as nice as when I started the channel. Nobody in my shoes would be, you know. I've lost a lot for doing a good deed. And beyond that, I've lost friends. I have family who don't talk to me. Most people think I'm crazy for doing this. I've continued to do it because I know I'm doing the right thing. I know I'm bringing something good in this world. I know this needs to happen if we as a people are to overcome what is upon us. So I've said enough. You know, Casey, Scariest Movie Ever, any of these people want to respond, I'd like to hear you explain yourselves, you know? All right, Truth Seeker, until next time.